You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
And I'm really looking forward to today's topic, and that is the 15 surprising causes of blood sugar fluctuation. The reason I wanted to bring you the show, and the reason why it bumped a few of the other topics I had to bring you, is because I just did an interview where it was talking about how one particular substance that most people, most adults do in our society can actually bump you out of a fasting-based state. So I will share that with you first today, but then we're going to go over 14 other ways that you could break your fast or actually bump your blood sugar up to a level high enough that would actually cause you to stop burning fat to the greatest degree possible, and also really try to push you towards more of an unhealthy oxidative-based state. So we want to understand that not everything is about body transformation, not everything is about weight loss. What we also want to do is think about things in terms of overall health. So what I like to do is I like to say that a healthy body's not going to be overweight. It's really not. So as we're talking a lot about weight loss, particularly in the coming new year, do keep in mind that if you get your body extremely healthy, you don't even need to you don't even need to think about as much of a weight loss plan. Now, will a weight loss plan help you take off the weight and at the same time potentially get you healthier? Absolutely. Like, that's the whole point. If you're going to go on a weight loss program, which there's nothing wrong with that, I recommend doing one that's also teaching you healthy principles you can live by for the rest of your life, because the goal is not to yo-yo up and down, right? The goal is to make sure that you are a healthy individual with lots of energy and maintaining a healthy body weight. So we'll go over that. I'm sure I'll be talking about it a lot more tomorrow. I know that I will, which is the first of 5 different shows on how exactly to burn body fat the most healthy and also the most scientifically proven way to do it. So what I want you to do is this new year coming in just a couple weeks, I want you to understand is that if you're holding 5, 10, 20, 100 extra pounds, there is a scientific way to take it off. There is a way to do it the easiest way possible. It doesn't mean that it's simple. It doesn't mean that it's easy, but you absolutely can do it. And you might as well just do it to the best of your ability and the way that's going to get you the most results. So starting tomorrow on each show, on each Wellness and Weight Loss Wednesday, I'll be taking you through 5 different steps. Okay, but all of that is coming up tomorrow, so let's get into today's show. So I'm going to take you through 15 different variables that could all raise your blood sugar out of the, what I like to say, 75 to 95 milligrams per deciliter. So basically, when we're looking at healthy blood sugar in a range where you're absolutely going to be tapping into body fat, but also you're not going to be oxidizing proteins, creating free radical damage, everything that, yes, could affect diabetes, but also can affect things like your vision. It affects your skin, how quickly you're aging. So we want to keep our blood sugar level through the majority of the day with maybe a couple different individual spikes, which I'll talk about today. Some of them healthy, some okay, some not as healthy. But remember, every time your blood sugar spikes, your body needs to produce more insulin in order to pull the sugar into the cells. Now, if we do that too often, it's going to cause cellular-based damage, and it's also going to potentially lead to higher what's called hemoglobin A1C and potentially type 2 diabetes. So our job, create a healthy individual that's in shape, that feels great, and that has plenty of energy. Because remember, energy and brain fog also go along with level blood sugar. Highs and lows in blood sugar also affect how your brain operates as well. So the first one that was the most controversial, and I've talked about it now for a number of years, a lot of people didn't understand this or believe it when I first said it, but now, of course, you can find the research and people know it to be true, and they're testing their own blood sugar. So the first one is this, and that is coffee. For some people, caffeinated coffee, not necessarily decaf, but caffeinated coffee can spike your adrenaline, which can produce more cortisol, which can then draw blood sugar into your bloodstream. Now, how does it do that? Well, it breaks down stored liver glycogen, and it turns that into a usable fuel source for fight or flight, because remember, you spiked your adrenaline, you spiked your cortisol. That comes with a consequence. And typically that means glucose, because your body needs that to respond to a survival-based situation. Now, again, this is how your body works. That's why all of these, different diet plans, they don't take into consideration how your body actually functions and how it stays balanced. So dropping into super low blood sugar is not a good idea either. Just stay balanced. It is about achieving what's called dynamic equilibrium in the body. The natural hygienists, the traditional naturopaths back in the day, they always spoke about this. This person may need this person may need this. Vata body type, ectomorph body type, they need more carbohydrates. The kapha body type, the endomorph body type, more vegetables, harder to break down, like a little bit more thermogenic. We'll talk about that again more tomorrow. But the different body types, they need different things. You can tell people, oh, go low carb. Well, that's going to absolutely decimate the health of a Vata body type or ectomorph body type. I mean, it really will. That body type needs glucose. They need carbs. You're not going to see the rapid highs in blood sugar. You're actually going to see more lower blood sugar. So, again, everyone's an individual. We all need to be eating predominantly fruits and vegetables, but those macros in terms of the percentage of carbohydrates, or I should say the grams of carbs, will change, but we all need that. Now, coffee is unique. That most likely is going to spike the blood sugar more of someone who's more of a Vata or ectomorph, potentially, because they're a little bit more central nervous system or sympathetic nervous system dominant. What's the only way that you know? Well, it's very simple. And I'll link it up today at StephenCabral.com/1411. StephenCabral.com/1411, a simple glucometer. All you do is you take your blood sugar 30 minutes after a meal, or in this case, 30 minutes after your coffee. And if your blood sugar is not between 75 and 95 milligrams per deciliter, then you are out of your range. Now, you also want to make sure, though, if you're doing this in the morning, that you wake up with blood sugar between 75 and 95. I won't keep saying milligrams per deciliter, but you know what I mean. So it should just be between 75 and 95. If not, well, then your body is not tapping into the amount of body fat burning that it should overnight. And that means you might be potentially moving towards type 2 diabetes. Now, type 2 diabetes is typically not diagnosed by your medical doctor until you have a hemoglobin A1C at 5.6 or above and fasting glucose above 126. That means waking up in the morning, blood sugar is above 126. But remember, above 95 is a warning sign. Okay, so coffee's number one. Yes, it's controversial, but as I said when I was talking about this on the podcast interview, I'll name those interviews as well coming this Friday. I always talk about the shows I was on, as well as at a conference I was at. I just said, I'm just the messenger. I'm not telling you not to drink your coffee, but I'm just the messenger. It's also why I tell people, and as we debut our metabolic, I don't even want to call it a weight loss system, but our metabolic system this January, I teach people all the tips to enjoy their favorite things. Have your coffee, but have it after breakfast. It will give you less of a spike if it's not on an empty stomach, right? Okay, we'll talk about that more. Number two is this, skipping breakfast. I know it's crazy, but again, I'm just the messenger here. If you skip breakfast and you drop in blood sugar below 75, below 70, your body, if it experiences stress, very well may spike your own blood sugar. I know it's strange. It doesn't make sense, but it's how your body was built. And it was built actually as a protective mechanism. Let's say that in the morning you wake up, all of a sudden your alarm goes off. You're like, oh, I'm late for work. I slept in too long. Or the kids are late. Oh, I have a meeting. Oh, I'm stuck in traffic. I may not make it. Your body produces adrenaline. Now, if needed, it will produce something called glucocorticoids, which is cortisol. It's produced by, the HPA axis. It's your brain, your hypothalamus telling your pituitary gland, hey, tell the adrenals to secrete. The medulla will secrete more mineral corticoids, and that will get the heart rate going. That'll get the blood pressure going, start to pump blood to the muscles, adrenaline. And then your cortex of the adrenals will produce glucocorticoids, which will help break down stored glucose. The liver, but again, you might say, oh, well, no, I'm depleted of glycogen. I'm just going to tap into body fat. That's just not true. It's not physiologically true. You can say that you want it to be true. On a keto diet, you can say I'm going to tap into ketones. It's just not true if you're in a fight or flight response. Your body will find glucose, and it has lots of stored glucose in your muscle tissue as well, which is why a lot of people, not a lot of people, but people, if they're not doing it correctly, on a keto-based diet, on a chronically, like a prolonged keto-based diet, can actually tap into muscle tissue, and they're becoming more catabolic. So again, you can test, but skipping breakfast can do this for some people, not all. Again, I'm a proponent, at least in the beginning, to potentially pushing back breakfast a little bit. I'm still a proponent of 3 meals per day just because of the stress that we're under as a society and culture, but also a very easy to digest breakfast. And you've heard me on previous shows explain what that is. If not, head on back to stephencabral.com/podcasts and check out all of those previous shows on breakfast. All right, number 3 is this, dehydration. I know this is a wild one as well, but you can actually have higher levels of blood sugar if you're dehydrated. This one is very important, and it's also super crucial for weight loss. And here's why. If you're dehydrated, that means you have less water in your body. Now, 90% of that blood plasma is water. So if you have less water in your body and your blood is more concentrated, you very well could have a higher level of blood sugar. And the reason is this, you have the same sugar in your blood, but now you have less blood, less total volume. So this is an important factor to look at. And it's why we recommend for most people about half your body in ounces of water per day. And that's in pounds. Pounds, divide it in half, take that in ounces of water per day. It's a good starting point. I've many shows that walk you through the specifics of who needs more, who needs less, who needs more minerals, who needs more sodium, etc. All right, number 5 is this. It's fruit. Or I should say, I think I skipped number 4. Number 4 is carbohydrates. So carbohydrates, extremely important. People say, oh, carbs aren't that important. They are very important. Carbohydrates are very important. They are your brain's preferred fuel source. They are your body's preferred fast fuel source. So that means when your body needs to operate in a sympathetic nervous system dominant state, it looks towards carbohydrates. And they're very powerful, and they should be used for everyone. It also helps to produce more of the neurotransmitters that we like, which keep us calm, such as serotonin. It helps to cut cortisol levels, which tell our body we're not starving, things are good, we don't have to stay in this survival-based state. Now, the difference is some people need 75 to 100 grams of carbs per day. Some need maybe 150. Some need 200. Some need only 150 on their workout days. And on the non-workout days, they might get 75. It varies per person. But the thing is, you can figure out how many your body does need by first going on what we do is our detox. And we're going to be teaching this again in the new year, very systematically. And then slowly integrate them back into your diet. And you will find what your carbohydrate tolerance is. And it's that tolerance that can actually change over time, meaning you can actually eat more carbohydrates the more glucose adapted you become. A lot of people say fat adapted. I say glucose and carb adapted. Your body will get more efficient at using carbohydrates once your cell membranes are better at soaking up actual glucose and carbs. That will happen in time as your body gets healthier. Okay, the 5th one is fruit. Now, fruit, again, I believe that everybody should be eating fruit. No doubt about it. Now, some people can do really well with bananas and mangoes and higher glycemic fruit, and some people do much better just eating berries. Berries being blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, cherries. Amazing. Very low glycemic, much lower glycemic than even a lot of the carbohydrates, like the straight carbs, not even fruits. Like, let's just call them more of the starchy vegetables, and certainly starches such as sweet potatoes, yams, etc. So people saying, okay, yams are okay, which I believe they are as well for most people, but fruit isn't? Well, that doesn't make sense, because if you're worried about the actual spike in blood sugar, fruit is not the highest, right? So some fruits could be, but not all. Whey protein, for example, has 0 carbs, but can absolutely spike your blood sugar. So those are important things to look at. So again, fruit, how much? It depends on the individual. Certainly good to start your day with. Again, for most people, we'll teach this. And then also after a workout, at least 2 good places to have your fruit. All right, the next one is this. I think most people know this. Most people, but not everyone. When you are adding, all sorts of different, even nut milks, like sweetened nut milks can have 7, 8, 10 grams of sugar in them, or adding like a lot of these vitamin waters, they can have 28 grams of sugar. Or fruit juice. I'm not a proponent of any of these things. I'm not a proponent of drinking sugar. I'm just not. I'm not a proponent of fruit juice for the most part. I say eat your fruit, juice your veggies. Now, you can eat your veggies too. Juice your veggies. Don't juice your fruit. Okay, you really don't need to. Now, some cases can be made for freshly squeezing your own grapefruit juice. Okay, I mean, if someone's not overweight, they're more the Vata ectomorph, that could be fine for them in the morning, could be fine post-workout, no doubt about it. But I have to talk in generalities because we're talking to 1 million people, on the podcast. So what I want to do is I want to share things that are going to help the greatest amount of people. So here's the thing. Even for your kids, kids can get away with it. They're just far more active. But for the most part, again, don't drink sugar. It's just not good for you. Even if it's been juiced already and it is like an organic fruit juice, it doesn't have any of the enzymes. It's not as natural. So my opinion, again, have your kids eat the fruit. And again, you can juice your veggies. So I'm a big fan of doing that. And again, just stay away from all of these. I'll list the next one. Artificial sweeteners, the Splenda, and of course, aspartame. If your body tastes something sweet, you can't fool it. There are studies that show even things with 0 calories but contain the artificial sweeteners can still spike blood sugar. Your body's ready for it. It tastes sweet. You're trying to fool it. It says, okay, we're getting something sweet. Let's raise blood sugar. Let's raise insulin. Not a good idea. So a lot of those drinks as well, though, are artificially colored as well. One thing that I told the company that I founded, that I formulate for, I said, no matter what, we are not going to carry a product that contains artificial sweeteners, and we're not going to contain a product that contains artificial colors, artificial ingredients, or that contains anything genetically modified. I just won't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put it in my family's mouth. I don't want anybody to put it in theirs. So that's what we do. Super important about that too, over at Equilibrium Nutrition. We just don't do those things. Don't do them for yourself. Those artificial colors absolutely disrupt your nervous system. If you see like ecto-color green and neon blue, turn it around. Unless it's spirulina that's making it blue, or some matcha that's making it green. Be very careful with those artificially colored things, especially for your kids. Always affects those smaller bodies so much more. The next one is this. A lot of people don't know this. Alcohol. Yes, alcohol can raise your blood sugar. No doubt about it. Some more than others. But interesting to look at is that during the night, your blood sugar can, because again, we're talking about fluctuations today. Your blood sugar can drop. What happens when your blood sugar drops? You wake up in and out of the sleep during the whole night. So sure, you might fall asleep faster, but your deep sleep quality score is really low. Your restless score is high. And when you wake up the next morning, you're a little bit more groggy. You don't feel as well rested because you didn't get into those deeper levels of sleep. And you might wake up hypoglycemic, which is why you're going to want to rebound with sugary things and coffee and all those different types of things to get you going again in the morning. So just be careful, especially if you're drinking alcohol most days of the week. It is not conducive to transforming your body. It is not conducive to overall health. I'm sorry, but again, I did a show on this. Don't blame the messenger, but that is the truth. Okay, now those were all diet-based. I want to go over now overall sleep. So I talked about the alcohol just a bit and how it does dysregulate sleep and blood sugar. But those people, and again, I've gone over this study before, but people who get less than 7 for sure, but 6 hours or less sleep per night, typically wake up with higher levels of blood sugar. Now, it is one more cause, even without eating too much processed food, that you might be waking up with higher fasting glucose levels. So make sure you're getting good quality sleep. And even a night or two can make a difference. So do the best that you can, all right? Super important. Get your sleep between 7 and 9 hours per night. The more exhausted you are, the more sleep you need, right? All right, the next one is this. I talked about this a while back, and I explained this in depth inside of level 2 of the Integrative Health Practitioner certification. It's called the dawn phenomenon. And it is this, that some people in the morning can get a spike, a surge of hormones, okay? Similar to what we get with a cortisol awakening response. This means that cortisol starts to surge between 6 and 8 in the morning. And when that happens, yes, it would be further exacerbated for sure by not eating, further exacerbated by having a cup of coffee in the morning, caffeinated. But here's the thing. Sometimes some people, especially under more of that sympathetic nervous system dominance, will have higher levels of cortisol in the morning. And they'll have higher levels of hormone, giving them a rise in blood sugar even without eating. So interesting to look at that. And again, how can you test that? Well, you're going to test it with the stress, mood, and metabolism test, formerly called the thyroid adrenal hormone. That's over at equilibriumnutrition.com. If you're interested, you can at least check out what that test is. You can do it right at home. You take your test 30 minutes after waking, and it will show you exactly how you're doing in terms of a spike in cortisol. And on the same day, you can use that glucometer to test your blood sugar. So really, really nice test. Again, anybody can do these, right? We are open sourcing the future of medicine, and it's here. I mean, this is functional medicine. This is learning what you need to do for your body, your unique body as well. Now, I talked about this a little bit as well, but if you are someone, and again, there's always a percentage of the population. Most people should stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed. But there's a small percentage of the population that actually does well with a slower digesting snack before bed. And again, I've talked about this as well in a previous show, and I know that I'm up against my time for today. So what I want to share with you is this. If you're someone that wakes up during the middle of the night, you might want to test your blood sugar during the middle of the night, like right when you wake up. And if you get a high blood sugar reading, well, it could mean that you just had a subsequent, so previous, drop in blood sugar. Hypoglycemia. So that means your body dropped in blood sugar, and then you basically produced more stress hormones, cortisol, to get that glucose levels back up. I mean, that's cortisol's job. A lot of people don't know that. It's called a glucocorticoid, right? We want to produce things that help break down glucose so we can get our blood sugar back up so that we don't pass out or go into a coma. It's very, very important, obviously. It's crucial for our body. And again, it also may mean, though, that you're having too much processed food at dinner or dessert. So what you want to do is make sure you have a healthy dinner a couple hours before bed, good fiber, protein, healthy fats. All right, so now I want to go over a couple what I call strange but true. There are medications, I'm not going to go through all of them today, but if you're on a medication, I would like you to look it up and say, does this medication spike blood sugar? Because many of them do, believe it or not. Many of them will increase blood sugar over time, so it didn't happen right away, but after months or years of use, or potentially drop you into lower blood sugar. Some that you would not believe are actually children's medication for focus. I'm not going to name names for right now, but also medication for allergies that contain something called pseudoephedra or pseudoephedrine that can increase your adrenaline and glucocorticoid response. Very interesting. Another strange but true is gum disease. So, yes, people that have diabetes often are more prone to gum disease, but also People that have gum disease are also more prone to higher blood sugar. There is an inflammatory component that could potentially increase blood sugar levels as well. All right, the last one is this, a sunburn. I know that it's random, but I wanted to put it in there because I want to show you all the research that we do over here at the Cabral Concept. A sunburn and that inflammatory reaction and subsequent fight or flight based push, that sympathetic nervous system dominance, your body's under attack, actually can raise blood sugar. All right, so one more that I wanted to give you that we should all know about, that we have to work into our 2020 plan is this. You must move your body on a daily basis. You must get 10,000 steps per day. You need to work your way up to that, and you need to exercise more days than not. The more I look into this research, the more I just say, a lot of the issues we're having, yes, they're diet related. There's no doubt about it. It's food choice related, no doubt about it, but it is a lack of human movement. As humans, we were meant to move. We were not meant to crush our bodies. I'll be talking about this on this Thursday's show coming up, so please do listen to that. But we were meant to move our bodies. And because we don't move our bodies, it's why people are promoting so many super low carb diets for life, et cetera, et cetera. And it's because our bodies don't even have a need for any of these carbohydrates because we just don't move them. But imagine if we did move them. Imagine how many more food choices we would have, how much happier we would be, and our bodies would naturally soak up more of the glucose because our muscle cells needed them and our liver cells needed to replenish. So super important to look at that. Again, we'll be talking a lot more about that, making it hopefully a lot of fun as well in 2020. So thank you so much for tuning into today's show. 15 surprising reasons, some maybe more surprising than others, that can cause blood sugar fluctuations, affect your mood, affect your health, affect your mind, and affect your body. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stevencabral.com/courses.